Hello, hello, moms and dads. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here with Winning with Kinks, Curls, and Coils. Now, this whole concept came about because I've spoke to so many, I mean, hundreds of parents just like you, moms and dads of Black children, and they have expressed the anxiety and the stress and the overwhelm in learning how to care for their Black child's hair. And they even said they just feel like they can't do it and they're losing. So I believe that you can do this, you can win. So I said, let me talk to them, teach them a masterclass about how they can win with Kinks, Curls, and Coils. So I am Taria Rashan. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm the founder and CEO of Hair Essentials Company. Hair Essentials Company is an education company that works specifically with transracial, adoptive, and foster parents of Black children. And we not only teach you all the skill set and update your product knowledge and techniques, but more importantly, we help you to get beyond that overwhelm and that anxiety you feel and really build your confidence that you know that you are capable of doing your child's hair and doing it well. Some of my credentials, yes, I have a bachelor's in communications, working in advertising for years. I have a MS, a master's degree in advertising. And then I went on and got a master's degree in theology. Now I should tell you that my faith is the foundation of everything I do. It's how I serve people. I'm a licensed cosmetologist for 25 plus years. I work as a freelance production stylist. And what that means is I've done hair on commercials and print ads and even product. I can walk into the local Target and see some work I've done on a manufacturer's product box. I've done platform work, and more recently, in the last 3 years, I was certified in trauma-informed care. And I want you to know, I use all of these experiences I have had and trainings in how I serve the transracial adoptive community today. But most of all, who I really am, I am your advocate. I really care. I care about you, your child, and that your family thrives. So I decided to let's just really engage and learn about this Afro textured hair so that you can really go ahead and learn other aspects of parenting and grow your child up to be a confident, well-adjusted human being. So that's who I am. And you might ask, as I'm often asked, why the transracial adoptive and foster care community? Why you guys? So my only answer I could come up with is that, I didn't choose to work with this community. It chose me. And it chose me organically. I could tell you my story. So I was working in a salon, and someone who I know, well-meaning, and you know those types, they had a neighbor who needed help with her daughter's hair desperately. She said, you should go see Taria. Now, at the time, I did not even work with children. In fact, the only child I worked with at the time was Malia Obama. Yes, I'm name dropping, but she was my client. And so I agreed to do this young lady's hair. She was about 7. So they came to the salon, and I was so keenly aware of the mom. I mean, she was a 7-year-old. She wasn't used to getting her kinks and coils detangled. So as I'm soothing her, my eye was on the mom because it was almost palpable. You could feel her anxiety and stress. And I was like, well, maybe it's that she's in this environment in a Black-owned and Black-run beauty salon. But that wasn't quite the case. She was really just clearly uncomfortable. So we went on with the process. I finished her daughter's hair, and I could see the mom's shoulders just relax. I mean, she let out a sigh and said something to the effect like, oh, I can hold my head up now. And I didn't understand that. So I asked her, I said, exactly, what do you mean by that? She went on to share with me just all the struggles and all the stress. And she goes on YouTube at the time and would try to learn how to do her child's hair. And the judgment she feels, especially at the grocery store, by other moms, particularly Black moms, at the condition of her child's hair. And each time she had to do it, she felt all the anxiety and stress, and she just really wanted to give up. So I told her, I can teach you. And she said, no, 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 I'll just bring her to you. But I explained to her why it's important that she learns how to be the primary caregiver of her child's hair. So we just went on this journey together. It was becoming a raving success. She started to refer me to people. She even referred me to someone who was out of state. So that was my first experience with virtual training. And then the pandemic hit. But around the time the pandemic came, I had already decided and prayed that said, I need to reach further. I need to reach more people to help more families like this. So my grandfather always told me that, we are here for a purpose. You're going to learn your purpose. I mean, I'm 3 years old and I just didn't know what he was talking about. But he said that over and over the years. So when I started working with the transracial, adoptive, and foster community of Black children, I realized my purpose in life. It connected with my passion, which was hair. And that's my story. That's how I ended up working with the transracial adoptive community. So before we talk about the 5 steps to hair care relief, and trust me, I know that's probably why you signed up for this masterclass, because you need relief. I hear it all the time from new parents to parents whose child had their child for 10 years and on, and especially in the teenage years, they just need some relief. They just really want to start over. But before we talk about that, we have to talk about the beginning. I would be remiss if I didn't take you to the start and really talk about what's the big deal anyway? Why is this hair such a topic to even talk about? To me, it talks about more than other hair types. Well, let's go back a little ways and hear about some history, because as you know, the beauty standards, not in this country, but yes, around the world, the beauty standards are very Eurocentric. Long, straight, luxurious, shiny hair that's even blonde in most cases, that moves with the wind. In fact, Black hair was so against the norm, it was even equated with animal hair. Wool, coarse, not something you really want to wear. It was even labeled as being offensive. And for years. And besides that, it wasn't until recently, and I'm sure most of you can remember, you couldn't pick up a magazine and see someone with hair like mine unless you were looking at the only 2 publications I knew, which were Ebony and Essence magazine. And if you're not familiar with either of those, you should look them up. But mainstream did not celebrate hair like mine. You couldn't see it on commercials, none of the general media. You couldn't even turn on sitcoms or the news and see anyone with hair like mine or hair like your child's. So that still, even though you see it in the media now, but it still exists. What am I talking about? The statistics that I've been reading about. As early as 5 years old, these are recent stats, children, boys and girls, have experienced discrimination because of their hair. And not only that, a recent study gathered 100 teen girls. 80% of them expressed having experienced some form of discrimination, sometimes by authorities and sometimes by their peers, classmates, people their age. They've experienced discrimination about their hair and about their bodies. And I want to tell you, it doesn't stop there. Even through the corporate world, which I come from, and I even have a personal experience. Now, you saw all my little credentials up front, right? Well, it was time for my performance review. My performance was a raving review because I do things with excellence, if I may say so. And my boss looked me right in the eye and said, you would probably be eligible for a promotion if you would just change your hair. It's not as professional, and it's disruptive is the word she used. Yes. So as you see, this problem is systemic throughout. Your child can go from kindergarten, teenage, and all the way into the workplace and still experience all kinds of discrimination, microaggressions because of their hair, the way it is in its natural state. So what happened is there had to be legislation. I don't know if you're familiar with the legislation. It just came about, I think, in 2019, called the Crown Act. Create a respectful and open workplace for natural hair act. Well, it started there, but it's pervasive in the schools and with school-age people. It started in California as a state bill. I think it was State Bill 188, where a senator positioned it to stop the discrimination with people wearing their natural hair or wearing hairstyles that express their culture. And it passed in California. And at some point, I think in 2020, it was taken up to the U.S. House of Representatives. And yes, in 2020, they passed the H.R. 5309 bill that was passed to say it's illegal to discriminate or to prevent people from wearing their natural hair, especially people of African descent. To date, unfortunately, only 18 states have passed the Crown Act bill because it's still waiting for the Senate to make a decision on that. So now it's done state by state. But while that's happening, boys and girls continue to be discriminated against. In fact, you may have seen recently the wrestler who had dreadlocks that were groomed, tied up, and the judges decided he could not compete in the championship with his hair like that. So he had 2 minutes to make a decision. This young man stood on the sidelines where they took a pair of scissors and cut his locks all the way down so that he could compete. Yes, it still goes on, and your children and my child have experienced things of that nature. So therefore, if you ask what's the big deal anyway, I can tell you, it ties into ultimately your child's self-esteem. Your self-esteem is moved and they understand who they are and their culture by this hair because they can see that it's different from all other races. And not only the self-esteem, or equally as important, is they learn about community. Yes, the hair is tied to the community. You know, I've heard stories from my grandmother to my mother and my own experiences that while growing up, our community, boys and girls, we're surrounded about our hair. It's our crown. It's how we can be affirmed to really elevate ourselves amongst each other. I mean, we would be sitting just with your peers, having fun at the park, on the block, and inevitably someone was getting their hair braided or twisted around or fluffed up into an afro all the time. It was a part of our community. And recently, I was reading an adult adoptee contacted me and expressed how she started college at age 19 or 18 or 19. And she was looking for community with girls that grew up like her because she didn't grow up with people looking like her. And how she was so shamed that she could not even really connect because so much of their talk and their time together was centered around their hair and their hairstyles. And it caused her to be bitter towards her parents because she felt like they didn't even try. They never told me the importance of my hair or the beauty of my hair, or they never celebrated my hair. So it's important that you really understand that culture matters. And the hair, as you go on a hair journey with your child, and yes, it's probably going to be a journey. It's a great inroads into understanding Black culture for yourself and understanding how to teach it to your child. So ultimately, as an adult, they know to pass that on to their child. It really matters. But we're going to spend the rest of our time here talking about the 5 steps to hair care relief, because I know that's why you signed up for the masterclass, right? And as I told you, because of the anxiety and overwhelm, I thought it was really important and valuable to start there, to start with the 5 steps. First step we have is belief. Next, there's 3 essentials you need to know about. Third step is a routine. Fourth step is to engage and expose. The 5th and final step to hair care relief is affirm, affirmations. But let's start at the first step, belief. I put this as the first step to hair care relief because it's the one that will build your confidence. I mean, you have to believe that you're capable of caring for this kinky, curly, sometimes unruly, something you're not used to, this hair. You have to just settle once and for all that you can do this, that you can learn. For example, let's go back a bit. Have you ever, can you remember when you learned how to drive a car? Or what about the times that maybe you learned how to swim as an adult, or you learned your sport, learn how to bake, all the things that you've learned even as an adult that you can do fairly well. Now, not perfect, not perfectly, but you can do fairly well. That gives you the confidence to know that, yeah, I can learn this too. You really can, and it will empower you within yourself to move forward on this journey with your child. And it will empower your child because they will know that their parent invested the time and the education to learn that something that's special just for them, their hair. Moms and dads, if you don't have a real belief that you can do this and learn how to do this hair, at the end, I'm going to invite you to join me on a journey. Let me be a part of this journey, because that is indeed the first step to you getting relief. Step 2, the 3 essentials is what I call them. My company is called Hair Essentials Company because there are some essentials that you need to know. Now, I know it's overwhelming on social media or on these internet streets. It's overwhelming of do this, do that, don't do this, maybe do this, this is wrong, all the things. And I'm here to tell you a lot of that information is given by non-professionals. And a lot of that information is telling you what works on their hair. Because I'm sure you watched the Instagram and the Reels and the TikToks and the YouTube. You go out and buy all the things and you get home and your child's hair doesn't look like that. There's a reason why. Because the essentials, there are only 3 you need to learn. You need to learn these areas: shampoo and conditioning, detangling, and styling. All those other things will come later. Let's talk about shampoo and conditioning. First of all, this area involves your hair knowledge, but not all the things, not all the hair knowledge, but only the hair knowledge for your child's hair or your children's hair. Just learn that. That's it. And it's very product focused. So learning your child's hair, literally, have you just ever stopped and what does it really feel like when it's fresh or dry with no product? How does it respond to your product choices? Does it curl up or does it get softer, or does a gel work better than a cream product? Excuse me. You just learn your child's hair type and their texture. How does it work in the humidity? How does it happen when it's hot and sunny and dry where you live, or maybe cold? In the Midwest where I live, it's very cold. So I have to make extra effort to keep my curls moist. You will learn your child's hair and your product selection. All you need to know is I need to keep the child's hair cleansed, and I need to keep it conditioned and moisturized. Your product selection, whatever product you choose to do those things, will be determined by how your child's hair performs. There is no magic product that you can use to make it look like you may want it to look like. So in this step, you get up close and personal with your child's hair through the cleansing process and the moisturizing process or conditioning process. The next step is detangling, the next essential step. Now, trust me, everyone with kinky, curly, coily, tightly coiled hair have to face off with the detangling. Black mamas, Black dads, white moms, it doesn't matter. All of us have to face off with how to detangle the hair. And one of the keys is keeping it in step A, moist and conditioned. However, this is very tool focused. How to detangle the hair. First tool that I always tell people to start with are your fingers, because that way you can gently detangle any knots and kinks. And remember, this hair is zigzag and coiled and laying on top of each other. So you have to be gentle with it. And if possible, next step is a wide tooth comb. How wide the teeth are spaced depends on the child's hair. If it's thick and kind of long or have some length to it, you need a very wide tooth comb to safely detangle those coils without ripping out the hair and without causing trauma to your child. If their hair is tightly coiled, like some little boys even, and it's just close to their scalp, you wouldn't use a very wide tooth comb because it'll just skim over the top. You would use either a detangling brush or you would use a finer tooth comb to help detangle those coils. Here's a tip though. Detangling tools always are accompanied by some kind of product. First of all, water. Always, that's your number one tool when you're detangling. Make sure you're spraying that hair with some water to kind of soften the kinks and coils, and put some kind of product that has slip, whether it's your favorite conditioner or any kind of pre-poo product. And you would know because it gives you slip, it kind of helps detangle those curls easier. But detangling is a real thing that you need to know. Lastly, it's styling. Now, this is the part that you get judged on. And this is the part most parents tell me they feel shame because, that's the part everybody can see. You've been in the grocery store and you see a mom kind of give you the side eye because your child's hair is not really kept. Well, that's the part that you're getting judged on. I'm here to tell you, you can learn a classic style. There's certain classic styles that go a long way. How about puffs? If your child's hair, even the shortest hair, can be gathered into 2 puffs or part from front to back, ear to ear, have 4 quadrants, there's your puffs. You can braid or twist it. Those are classic styles that can carry you a long way. In fact, I encourage you to design your own signature style. What style helps your lifestyle? Gets you out the door? If you're a mom that got to get out the door quickly in the morning, let's choose a style that will fit that lifestyle. Or if you have a special occasion style, do something that is going to enhance that they may not wear on a daily, but you can learn that. You can learn a basic everyday style that you don't even have to redo every day. Or you can learn a signature style for fancy occasions. And here's a tip. It could be the same style, but maybe on every day where they wear braids. And maybe when it's a special occasion, they wear the puffs with a nice accessory. You can learn that. And the simple braiding. Let's talk about braiding. I'm talking about plaits. That is a great way to maintain a style that you don't have to do it every day. And there's different ways to plait hair, to braid hair. A lot of people, a lot of moms and dads, you guys call me or text me or DM me and say, oh, Taria, I just can't get this cornrows together. I'm just not able to do that. Well, let me tell you something. Grant yourself some grace. I know a whole lot of moms and dads, Black moms and dads, who can't do cornrows because cornrows is truly an art form. Elevated, perfectly parted, beautiful cornrow is an art form. That's why most of us just do basic cornrow. You can figure it out, but that's something you can learn along the way, down the road. Grant yourself some grace. Just do a regular braid and go on with your life and feel proud that you have done your child's hair with the style that you've selected. And practice, practice, practice. Practice makes progress. Practice really helps you to build your confidence that each time it's getting better and better, and your child will be the better for it. The third step is probably, I want to say, the most transformative step. It's a routine. If you are able to embrace that hair time is a thing, you're going to have to work on your Black child's hair regularly, then you can schedule it. I mean, put it on the calendar. Shampoo and condition day, here and here. Deep conditioning day. Circle that on the calendar. Coincide with anything you have going on. Is it a holiday? Is it time for photos? Is it the first day of school or any of those things? Make it a schedule. It will change your life. And also, it will manage expectations for yourself, the pressure you put on yourself and your child's. You know, one of the saddest stories I heard was from one of my clients, and she reached out to me fed up because she had to miss her cousin's wedding. Why? Well, she said, you know, she's working and she knew she had to do the hair. It was well overdue to take the braids out, and she didn't do it that weekend before, and she didn't do it. And each day she was building up anxiety, looking at her child's hair get fuzzier and fuzzier, knowing she had to get it done. So finally, she woke up bright and early that morning of the wedding and was going to just go for it. Her anxiety was so high about her ability. The child was having a meltdown. The mom was having a meltdown, to the point the dad and the son just went on to the wedding and they missed it. So that way you can manage those expectations, because that should not happen. We don't want it to happen. And the more you have a routine, you'll find that your timing is lessened. The time it takes you to actually do your child's hair, to cleanse, condition, detangle, and style. In fact, your timing will be cut off each time you regulate the schedule and do it over and over, because you're practicing. Your child know it's going to be time for hair. Age appropriately, let them know that this is the day. They'll share the calendar. This will transform your life. And also, this is something you may not know. Hair has memory. My hair is trained to get this wave pattern, wash and go, right? It's trained for that. So you can train your hair with the consistent routines, and therefore the hair you'll find it's cooperating way more than before. So the routine, I encourage you, this will give you some relief. Engage and expose. Let's talk about engaging first, because this is the step where real bonding occurs. You know, you may have heard me and others talking about hair time can be bonding time. And you might think, well, that's not what happens in my house, right? But it can be if you learn how to engage with it. It's a styling essential. When they're little, it helps them learn even independence. They can gather the hair tools that you know you're going to use. Or get the hair box. Do you have a hair box? It's complete with the accessories or the product that you consistently use in hair time, and maybe they can gather it, or they can learn counting by counting out how many of the hair ties or barrettes that you need, or the colors. They can learn the colors by helping you separate them. It's all kind of ways to engage them in hair time, even before hair time, so it lessens their anxiety and yours. This is the time you get to talk to your child early on. Talk about their hair, talk about what's going on in their life, talk about school, talk about movies, talk about friends. In fact, I am one of 4 girls, and I remember hair time was the only time I had my mom to myself. Think about that. Wow, just mom and I, hair time. talking about all the things. And I realized as I grew older, from childhood, elementary, teenage years, where she still will have to help out with my hair at times, I would share things with her. And she shared with me. That's a good time for you to share with your child. Share that you're really trying to learn how to do her hair. Share with how you feel about her hair. Share that she's the first time, or he's the first time that you even had to learn how to do this type of hair. That's really important, that you engage with your child. Allow them to freely ask questions about your life or questions about anything they're dealing with. Allow them to share if they felt discriminated against, even though they may not have that language. But this is the time to bond with your child and show them that you are on this journey with them, this journey of life, not just journey with the hair. And it's important that even early in life, that they're exposed externally. And by that, I mean specifically the barbershop or the beauty shop. You know, I encourage you to at least once or twice a year with your daughters, you get them to a Black-owned and Black-run beauty shop, because that's where a lot of culture happened and community. And they just see the ease of the conversations and the laughter amongst people that look like them. And this is really important if you live in a predominantly white community and they are less frequently around people that look like them. It's okay to have the books and watch the programs, but I mean living, breathing people that look like them and talk like them. That's important to expose them. And the same with your sons. You know, I have a colleague, and he's an adult transracial adoptee, and he shares in his book about his experience with going to a Black barber, because he was fully grown when he says, wait, I'm going to go to the barbershop. And he grew up going to Great Clips or Supercuts. Now, no shade on those franchises, but you know, those are run differently. You walk in, there's a receptionist, you sign your name, you have a seat, and they call you when it's your turn. So he walks into the Black barbershop. There is no receptionist. There's not even a ledge or paper to put your name down. So he took a seat. And he was really at first enamored with all the banter and the conversation, because the Black barbershop is a whole nother situation. And it's a cultural environment where Black men gather and Black boys. However, he noticed that people were coming in and sitting in the chair, or coming in and they call him after him and their turn was going before his. And he just kind of sat there not knowing, well, what's going on? What am I supposed to do? Until finally, one of the barbers said, hey man, are you here for a haircut? And he talks about the emotion he felt behind that, the embarrassment, yes, and other things he felt behind that. So parents, I want to encourage you to always engage, but always expose your children to external events with their hair. That's very important. And that was step 4 to getting hair care relief. And finally, but not least, is affirm. I'm not only affirming your child, but yourself. And as you see on my slide, that's in bold capital letters. You have to affirm yourself, because your confident parents is essential. I mean, absolutely essential to your child's development and confidence and growth, especially about their hair. And remember, that's where their esteem is just rooted in their hair care. You have to remind yourself that you are totally capable of learning how to care for your child's hair, learning what styles to do, learning how to affirm them and yourself, learning how to select the right products and get the job done, and learning of some cultural things that will help you and your child with this journey. Now, also, I want to remind you that as a woman of faith, I believe that this is not a coincidence that you are the parent of a Black child. So therefore, as your advocate, I believe that you are fully equipped. It's in there that you can learn how to do your child's hair. You can go on this hair journey with them with confidence and with grace. Invest in your education and invest with equipping yourself with the knowledge you need to successfully do this. And we can talk about that more later because I have fantastic things coming up in 2023. But it's important to just invest in yourself because you know what? You can do new, you can do hard things. You can affirm yourself no matter who is giving you judgment out in public or who in your family is frowning at you at just the idea that you have a Black child. You can do this. And the last thing I really want to leave you with before we get into questions and answers is this quote by Amanda Gorman, because the only approval you really need is your own. I'm Taria Rashawn. That ends our 5 steps to hair care relief so that you are winning with kinks, curls, and coils. So now we're going to go into